Sweet. Hi, everyone. Welcome to ASLN's Toon Boom Storyboard Pro Workshop. I'm Betsy Vera, and I'm a senior here at CSUN. I have an associate's degree in animation production, and I'm currently working on getting the bachelor's degree. I've been using Storyboard Pro for a couple of years now. My goal for this workshop is to provide aspiring storyboard artists with the knowledge to get around the Storyboard Pro software easily and effectively. Any students who are currently taking Art 443, Section 2, may benefit greatly from today's workshop as well. If, at any point, you have a question, please drop it in the chat. I will be addressing all questions at the end of our workshop. I'm going to be covering a lot of topics today. With that said, let's jump right into it. Storyboard Pro can be obtained in 3 ways: the student price package, the normal subscription, and perpetual license. Students like us can take advantage of the student pricing package in order to use the software for our classes. It is a one-time payment up until the license expires at the end of the time period. I paid around $80 for the year license at the student pricing. If you ask me, that's very good. I'm going to show you why. Take a look at this. What you see here is the regular pricing. If you're not a student, that's kind of a lot. So just remember, take advantage of the student pricing. The standard subscription pricing is kind of expensive. Oh, also, for those not wanting to go the subscription route, you can purchase the perpetual license. This just means you get to pay big bucks up front, but you get to keep the software for life. You can see that right here. 1,306. Now that we know some of the ways to obtain the software, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Excuse me. When you open the program, you will get a window that looks like this. Let's talk about setting up and opening projects. To create a new project, type the name of your story here in the name section. Once you've done that, you can select the place to save the file to. I like saving it on my external hard drive since it's got lots of space. I tend not to mess with the other settings on this window. Once you're satisfied, you can press Create Project. For opening existing projects, we can find them here on the Recent section on the right, here, or search for one on your computer. Here's how Storyboard Pro projects work. They are made up of a master folder with many folders and files inside of it. If you want to open up a file, it needs the entire folder, not just the SBoard file. So here we are at a storyboard file. This is where all the magic happens. Let's go over the workspace. Tools are on the left, while properties are on the right. We've got a fresh panel here in the center and the panel options right above it. Down here is my timeline. The timeline is one of the workspace options we can use alongside the thumbnail workspace. I'll show you how to switch to that right now. Go to the lower right corner. You can click here where it says thumbnails. You can see this here changes. What we want to do is always work in the timeline mode. I've heard from a few industry folks that the thumbnail workspace doesn't really help you much. And to be honest, I prefer the timeline instead. For drawing, we can use the brush tool to get the job done, like so. What I just used to draw this is known as the vector brush. It can be resized and stretched without losing any resolution. We typically use these brushes on vector layers. If you look down here at the bottom of the layer box, there are some icons here. The very first one, right here, gives us the choice to add a vector layer. The icon looks like three small shapes next to each other. You can also use another type of brush to draw as well, known as the Bitmap Brush. We can make the best use of these brushes on a bitmap layer. Once again, down here, we can see an icon that sort of looks like a landscape painting. This indicates we can create a bitmap layer. Let's go ahead and do so now. Sweet. Now we can use bitmap brushes. These brushes are typically textured and more closely resemble, for example, pencil markings on a paper. Let's go ahead and try that now. How about we try, let's try marker 2, shall we? There's that more textured look we're looking for. Wonderful. Very nice. I should tell you that drawing with a bitmap brush significantly increases the size of your file. So I usually prefer the vector brush. However, you can really do whatever you want. If you want to resize your brush, you can do so in the brush panel. Just click here on this little arrow. It opens up this new window where you can adjust minimum and maximum sizing, as well as brush shape. I don't mess with the shape much, but I personally like having the minimum size of the brush be 0 for better line control. Hey, what if we want to resize this drawing? There's a very easy way to do that. Click on the transformation tool all the way up here. Then simply select the drawing you'd like to resize. To keep the proportions correct, hold the Shift key while you are resizing. Wonderful. The Select tool here differs from other Select tools as it can select multiple lines with one stroke, as long as you connect every line at least once. Sweet. This is helpful for resizing or editing small parts of a drawing. To delete any unwanted lines, select them and simply press the Delete key. All right, let's talk about panels. Panels are the best way to draw storyboards on. In Storyboard Pro, you start off with one panel. To add panels, click on the icon up here with the plus sign. This will give you a fresh start. You'll see that a new blank panel has appeared. To duplicate a panel, press the icon up here with the arrow. There we are. This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them. Duplicating is especially useful for making slight tweaks to your panels. To delete a panel, simply click on the icon with the minus sign up here. It's out of here. Since we've got a few panels, let's toggle through them. You can do this using the A and F keys. The A key goes backwards, while the F key goes forward. Pretty straightforward, if I do say so myself. Here are some more panel tips. If you want to zoom in or out, you can use the 1 and 2 keys. The 1 key zooms out, and the 2 key zooms in. Here's one of my favorite panel tips. If you want to rotate your panel, use the C and V keys to do so. C goes counterclockwise while V goes clockwise. I swear, this is super useful when I'm working on my drawings. Sometimes you just need a different angle. Do you have a reference image you'd like to look at, or maybe have any boards you did on paper and want to clean them up in the software? Look no further than the import function. Go to File, Import, and Import as Layers. You'd select the image you want, then press Import. It'll show up over here with your other layers. Here is an image I did a little while back for a different project. When I want to draw with the reference present in my panel, I like to lower the opacity of the layer it's on to make it easier for me to draw on top of it. We just need to use the opacity slider. With that done, I can easily draw in this scene. I also prefer this method for when you duplicate panels and want to make small changes to them as well. One would think we can just use Storyboard Pro's built-in onion skin tool, but I find the opacity method easier to use. I'll show you what I mean. Let's say I want to draw this newspaper being opened. Well, using the onion skin tool does this. Here it is up here. Ew. As you can see, since I have so many layers active on the previous panel, it makes it harder for us to see the line work using the onion skin. If we decrease the opacity on a duplicated panel, it's a lot easier for us to see what we're doing. Much better. Sweet. I hope you're all still keeping up with me. I've got a few more things to talk about. Something that matters a whole lot in storyboarding is knowing how to separate your panels into scenes. If you look up here, this icon indicates we can add a new scene to our boards. A scene can have many panels or only one. It depends on what the scene is depicting. You can separate your panels into scenes every time a new camera angle is used. Another neat feature is that you can drag any panel you want into another scene, like this. This is super useful when you need to rearrange panels into different scenes. You can drag them into wherever they need to be in a flash. Let's talk about cameras. The camera tool in Storyboard Pro is quite powerful. You can use it to improve your boards in many ways. Let's take a closer look at the static camera. This is extremely helpful for repositioning your camera's view. For example, let's say you wanted to take this shot and maybe pull in a little closer. Right. Click on the static camera icon over here on the left. You'll see this green border show up on your panel. Click on the truck icon here in the upper left-hand corner, and drag in or out to get the result you're looking for. All right. You can also rotate your panels by hovering your mouse here and waiting for the rotation tool to show up. No problem. I can't tell you how many times this has seriously saved me when I'm doing revisions. The second camera option I want to talk about is the dynamic camera. It can create 2D camera movements that can really help a storyboard turn into an amazing animatic. With the dynamic camera tool, we work with setting keyframes to tell the camera which position to be at and where to go from there. Take this panel of a building here. I want to do a truck-in. Let's activate the dynamic camera. So you can see that you will see two borders show up. They are green and red. And I believe you can kind of see it on the screen there. But let's go ahead and set up this truck-in. So I'd set this green frame as it is. And then let's adjust the red frame to look like a truck-in. Reposition it as you like. Let's keep it straight on. All right, let's see if that worked. Whoa! Cool. Neat. You can do more than just truck in or out. You can make the camera pan left or right, or really any direction you need for your scene. Super useful. Since we're already talking about cameras, there's something else you should know about. You can work in either camera view or stage view. Camera view just looks like this, the setup that we're currently in. See that gray border around our panel? This is how your boards will look when they are exported. As the name implies, it's what the camera will see. When we switch to stage view, that gray border will disappear. Right up here on the right, stage view. You can draw beyond the regular parameters of a panel. So basically in all this white space out here. It's really useful if you're going to pair this with a static or dynamic camera in order to create a scene in which, say, the camera needs to track a character moving within a background you've drawn. Guess what? There's a few things I'd like to go over with you all. Sit tight. When you're all done with storyboards and you'd like to export them or put them on your website or portfolio, you can definitely do so using the export function. Just go to File, down to Export, and click on Export as PDF. A new window will open. As you can see, it'll ask us a variety of things, such as which scenes we'd like to export, as well as the layout of the exported PDF. There are a few layouts we can choose from, such as 3 panels horizontal, full page, overview, and even Japanese-style boards. I have some examples of exported storyboard PDFs for our reference. Let's take a look at them. Here's how storyboards look exported in the overview 2x4 panel layout. The panels are smaller here, but you can fit more of them on the page. These specific boards are actually beat boards, but the overall idea is similar. This is a single panel PDF. The panels themselves take up almost the entire page. These are really good for anyone who wants to observe each panel. What we're looking at here are my boards I did for my storyboard class last semester. I'm really happy with how they turned out, so I figured I could show them to all of you today. And so we've made it, everyone. I hope this was helpful to you. This is just a glance at the things you can do in Storyboard Pro. Just remember, be sure to practice. That's the best way to start getting the hang of things. How about we get into those questions, shall we? Is there a package deal for Harmony and Storyboard Pro? Ooh, that's a good question. I have definitely wondered that myself, but I believe you do have to like purchase each of them. Like, let's say you're getting the perpetual, you have to do that for both of them. If you're doing the subscription, you have to have both of them. Of course, they're going to do that to us. But I hope that they do consider some sort of package deal because I myself do want to have more Harmony going on. I'm sure y'all feel the same way.
I did see some artists that like they use like Storyboard Pro to like, work on their storyboards and animatics. I would see them like having like those ground lines of like, what perspective they're working on. Is that available on Storyboard Pro? Like, creating like those perspective, if I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yeah.
Perspective grids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they are called perspective grids. So I'm weird and I draw them in manually. I'm insane. But there is in fact a perspective tool. It's a little bit tricky to get the hang of, honestly. It took me a little while. But there is. Let me see if I can show that.
Yes, please. That would be great. I've seen some really good like animatics, and I was like, whoa, wait.
So true.
Perspective tool there.
Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I'm insane and I use the line tool, so I will literally do this and like do a grid that way. You could do that, which works fine for me, or we're gonna look at the tool. Okay, so it's a little bit complicated to get to said tool, so I will show it to the best of my ability how we can get there. So if you go up here, the tool that's right underneath the select tool, normally it's set to the contour editor, but if you left click on it, you can see this tool that says perspective. And you're going to go over here in your properties and you can see the perspective tool options. So we have lasso, snapping, and then perspective. So, excuse me, sir. Gotta get some things underway.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it's honestly really, really trippy. Like,
I think I would mainly use Storyboard Pro just for perspectives.
you can hold down the shift key to get those straight horizontal lines as well, because I'm not gonna get it on my own.
That makes sense, yeah.
So you can just kind of adjust it however you want that to look. I'm just gonna go for what feels right. You know what I mean? Oh, sir, come back. Sometimes it's a little finicky. I swear to God, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. I would consider it more of an advanced type of technique, which is why I still do the insane draw the lines on my own. But when you can figure it out, it's really, really dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get it. Thank you so much because I've always like seen it around and I was like wondering like, wait, how did they do that?
Yeah, I feel like it's a good thing to use if you're trying to like save time, which
Mhm.
I hear is like low key kind of common. But I like the hand drawn look. I'm a huge fan of that kind of thing. Is there a way to add dialogue? Oh, that's a great question. Okay. So Alex said, is there a way to add dialogue? You might have seen in the PDFs, like for example, these ones, that there is what appears to be dialogue in the boxes down here. Same thing with the other ones, these ones. So the only way that you can add dialogue in actual Storyboard Pro is to import it in using a final draft script. If you look here, unfortunately, Final Draft is like the only script software that is compatible with Storyboard Pro. Anything else isn't really going to work. But that's really the only way to get the dialogue in here. Otherwise, if you just export it, you're going to have to edit it in yourself. What I used was Adobe Acrobat, and you have the option to edit your PDF like so. You can just edit the dialogue here. Yeah, I don't know why there's no default dialogue tool. I would like to see them implement something like that in the future. It would just make it way easier because doing it through Adobe Acrobat is just really extra. Okay, I think if there are no other questions, that is a wrap. Once again, thank you everybody for coming. I really, really appreciate it. Y'all are amazing. I hope to do something like this again soon.